Hi, I'm Heather. Welcome to class. Today we're going to do back bends that are suitable for beginners. Before we begin, if you find this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you're notified when a new video is available. Let's make a start by lying on our abdomen. And if we bring the forehead to the floor, stretch the arms alongside the body, back of the hands to the floor next to your outer hips. And as you press the back of the hands to the floor, instigate the lift of the shoulder tips. Likewise, as you press the front of the feet to the floor, instigate the lift of the kneecaps. So the shin bones and the kneecaps are not on the floor, but the front feet are on the floor. As you press the front feet into the floor, then direct the tailbone to your heels and feel that you can engage the abdominal muscles and go on working the back of the hands into the floor as the shoulder tips lift away from the floor. Maintain that. Slowly raise the head up. Start to look forward and continue to press the back of the hands into the floor next to your outer hips, still driving the front feet down into the floor to lift the kneecaps off the floor. The legs are activated. Draw your tailbone to your heels. And now slowly release, and feel free to rest your forehead down on your hands or on your forearms. Alternatively, you could turn your head in one direction as you rest. Now let's set for the same posture, Salabhasana, the locust pose. We're taking it in stages. Bring the forehead to the floor, back of the hands to the floor next to your outer hips, and resist the shoulder tips away from the floor. Arms are straight. Then as you press the front feet down into the floor, knees are straight. Kneecaps are no longer on the floor. Then we're going to raise the head up, but as you do, draw the tailbone to your heels so the abdominal muscles are switched on. You're not just pressing the belly down into the floor, but there's a slight contraction there. Come down. Again, have a rest. Now we're going to instigate the raising of the legs. We'll do one leg at a time. Keep your forehead resting down. The arms can be forward for this. The feet hip width apart, and press the front feet down. Lift the kneecaps off the floor so the legs are straight. And now raise the right leg up. The left leg is still straight, so we're not pressing the left knee to the floor. Left leg is still straight. As you raise the right leg up, internally rotate the right thigh so that the inner right thigh rolls up towards the ceiling, and then lower the leg. And let's raise the left leg up. We're still keeping the right leg straight. Press the front right foot into the floor. Internally rotate the left thigh so the inner left thigh is rolling up to the ceiling. Both sides of the pelvis are level on the floor. Lower the leg and have a rest for a moment. Now again, let's stretch the arms back by the sides of the body. Forehead to the floor to start. Press the front of the hands to the floor, shoulder tips off the floor. Drive the front feet to the floor, kneecaps off the floor. Direct your tailbone to your heels. Then raise the head up, look forward and raise the hands up off the floor so that your upper arms are running parallel to the floor. Direct your tailbone to your heels and then raise the legs up. See if you can keep the feet hip width apart. Roll the inner thighs up to the ceiling. Then come down, have a rest. Now we'll challenge ourselves by having the inner feet together. Can we bring at least the big toes to touch? Spin the inner thighs up to the ceiling. And now forehead to the floor, interlock the fingers behind the hips and pull the knuckles towards the feet. So your shoulder tips are rolling back lifting away from the floor. Raise the head up as you pull the hands towards your feet. Shoulder tips draw back. Then raise the legs up. Roll the inner thighs up to the ceiling. Direct your tailbone to your heels. Slowly come down and have a rest. Now let's do with the opposite index finger interlocking on top. Forehead to the floor to start. Interlock the fingers and bring the opposite index finger on top. Press the front feet into the floor, lift the kneecaps off the floor, and then pull the hands towards the feet as you roll your shoulders back, raise the head up, look forward. Collarbones are broad as the shoulder tips draw back, and raise the legs. Roll the inner thighs up to the ceiling. So to encourage that, you can separate the heels, but keep the big toes touching. And then come down and have a rest. Now let's set ourselves for Bhujangasana, the cobra pose. Keep the big toes touching. Press the front feet into the floor. Lift the kneecaps off the floor so the legs are activated. Internally rotate your thighs so that the inner thighs are rolling up towards the ceiling. That helps to keep the sacrum broad. Place the hands underneath your shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in towards the side ribs. And as you press into the hands, plug the inner hands down and raise the head, lift the torso. But rather than pushing the belly down into the floor, can you lift the navel up? Keep the elbows bent and squeezing in so that the shoulders don't lift up into the neck. Elbows bent, elbows squeezing in, shoulder tips roll back and down, and still the front feet are pressing down into the floor, activating the legs, kneecaps firm. Then come down and have a rest. Let's go again. Activate your legs. Press the front feet down, lift the kneecaps off the floor. Direct your tailbone to your heels, hands underneath your shoulder tips. Squeeze the elbows in, broaden your palms. As you press into the palms, you raise the head up, but exhale to draw the navel up and back as you lift. Shoulder tips press back and down, elbows squeeze in, and then come down and have a rest. Let's do a few of these on the breath. We'll exhale to lift up and inhale to come back down. Hands under the shoulder tips, squeeze the elbows in, press the shoulder tips away from the floor, activate your legs, front feet press down, tailbone to your heels. Squeeze the elbows in, inhale. As you exhale, lift up, chest lifting, navel lifting, and come back down again. Inhale. Exhale to lift up. Draw the navel up and back. Inhale to come down. Exhale to lift. Inhale to come down. Keep the kneecaps lifting off the floor as the front feet press down. Exhale. Lift up. Inhale down. Exhale, lift up. And inhale, come down, have a rest. As we progress with our back bends, we need to ensure that the muscles on the front of the body are long. Let's come up. Prop yourself up on your left forearm parallel to the front of the mat. So then you can lift the chest more. Bend the right knee and reach your right hand back to hold the front of the foot and draw the heel towards the buttock. Now, if the knees don't like this, it's hard to reach, you can put a strap around the ankle, hold on. The intention is to stretch the muscles on the front of the right thigh, the quadriceps. So as you pull your heel to the buttock, keep both sides of the pelvis on the floor and move the right chest forward. Let's release that right leg. Prop yourself up on the right forearm. Bend the left knee, reach back, catch the front of the foot, pull the heel to the buttock, but move the left chest forward. and keep both sides of the pelvis level on the floor. Then release the left leg, come down and have a rest. Again, prop yourself up on your left forearm, bend the right knee, catch the ankle this time, if possible. If you do feel stiff in the knees, you can use your strap around the right foot, around the ankle. Give yourself some space there as you're pulling the heel away from the buttock, intending to create length on the front of the body. So we've got length in the front right thigh, and then length in the upper right chest and shoulder. And pull the heel away from the buttock. This time the right elbow is straight. As you pull the right heel away from the buttock, then perhaps you can lift the knee off the floor, the thigh off the floor, but the pelvis, both sides of the pelvis, stay on the floor. Keep using your left forearm as you press down into the left forearm to help you lift your chest up. Then come down, swap your arms and legs, bend the left leg, catch the ankle. You can dorsiflex the foot, peel the toes back as you pull the heel away from the buttock, and use your right forearm. As you drive the right forearm down, that can help you lift your chest. But it's the strength in the left leg that also helps. Pull the heel away from the buttock. Then if possible, raise that knee and thigh off the floor. Keep both sides of the pelvis on the floor. Move the left chest forward. Then come down and have a rest. Now we'll go for the full pose Dhanurasana. Bend both knees. Reach your hands back to catch the ankles or the front feet. Keep the knees hip-width apart, feet hip-width apart. Pull the heels away from the buttocks. Now, as I said, if it's difficult to reach and hold the feet or the ankles, put a strap around the front feet, front ankles, and hold on to your strap. But as you pull the heels away from the buttocks, you're pressing the shin bones to the wall behind, and that encourages the lift of the chest and the rolling back action of your shoulder tips. Shoulder tips lift away from the floor, and you go on lifting the knees in an effort to create a bow shape. Keep the knees and feet hip-width apart, and the strength in the legs encourages the lift and opening through the chest and shoulders. Come down, have a rest. Let's go again. Bend your knees and feet hip-width apart. Roll the inner thighs up towards the ceiling. Reach back, catch the ankles or the front of the feet. Pull the heels away from the buttocks, shoulders lift away from the floor, and then if possible, you raise the knees up off the floor, balance between the pelvic bones and the ribs. Get steady in your breath. Can you relax the facial muscles here? Then come down and have a rest. We're going to move on to Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, the upward facing dog pose, and we'll use a chair under our hands. Place the hands on either sides of the seat of the chair and step the feet back so that you're doing a variation of Ustrasana, the intense stretch pose. Ankles vertically underneath the hips, the torso lengthening forward. Back waist is long, sides of the waist, armpit, chest also long. Now, to come forward for our upward facing dog pose, look forward to the chair and bring your torso forward. Sweep the pelvis through towards the chair. Keep the legs straight. And we might find we come up against this feeling of the rib cage and the chest being restricted by the positioning of the upper arms. Bend the elbows enough that you can scoop the chest through between the upper arms, then squeeze the elbows straight, upper arms against the side body, and potentially you can bring your pelvic bones to touch the forearms. Front pelvic bones to touch the forearms, lift the pelvic bones up as the tailbone moves in, but press the shin bones up. Roll the inner thighs up. Exhale, pull the hips back, plug the heels down, elongate the sides of the waist, back of the waist. Smooth, steady breathing. Let's go again. Move the torso forward, scoop the chest through between the upper arms, and then as you straighten the arms, make sure your shoulder tips are pressing back. We don't want to be collapsed and allowing the shoulders to roll forward and up. Can you drive the hands into the chair enough that you feel that you're lifting away from the floor, lifting away from the chair, shoulder tips press back and down, and the shin bones press up so that the legs are straight. Then pull back, press the head of the thighs back away from the chest. Keep the grip of the kneecaps. Let's go one more time. Look forward, bring the torso forward. You can bend the elbows enough that you can scoop your chest through, move the side ribs through between the upper arms and squeeze the elbows straight. Front pelvic bones lift as the pelvis moves towards the forearms. So ideally your shoulders are vertically top the wrists. Finally, look up. As you look up, lift your chin, but also keep the base of the skull lifted away from the back body. So we're not collapsing. Push away from the floor. Now draw back, press the head of the thighs back, lengthen the back of the neck as the lower spine lengthens as well. And then walk forward to come up and out of the pose. We're going to use the chair now, the top of the chair, as support for the back of the neck in Ustrasana, the camel pose. It's helpful to put a blanket over the top of the chair so it creates a thicker support for the neck as well as some padding. If your floor is hard, feel free to put a blanket underneath your knees. But as we come onto the knees, we want to be close enough to the chair that we feel we can rest the back of the head on the top of the chair. Knees and feet hip width apart. And as we start to lean back, you can reach your hands to the chair, arch the back. We want to drive the shin bones down as we press the hips forward, tailbone down, pubis to navel up, front pelvic bones up, sternum up. Arch the upper back, walk your hands down the legs of the chair and find support for the back of the neck. If this height is not enough, perhaps you can fold your blanket over again so it's extra thick. Feel here the shin bones are driving down. We're activating the hamstring muscles as we press the hips forward. Go on moving the tailbone down and then draw your thoracic spine up in towards the sternum so the sternum lifts and broadens. And you feel not only the lift of the sternum but also the lift, the vertical lift of the armpit chest. Now let's come out of the pose, sit the buttocks back to the heels, push your chair back. We'll come forward to release the spine. Bring your blanket forward for your forehead. Rest the forehead down, keep your arms forward, relax your hips back and down. Smooth, steady breathing. Now, to contribute to the releasing of the lower spine, take your prop across to the right side and stretch forward over the right leg. Sweep that left armpit just around towards the right leg. Rest your forehead down. Now let's change. Take the prop across to the right side. Move your chest. Sweep that right armpit chest around towards your left leg and rest your forehead down. Then slowly come up to sit. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. For more in-depth teaching, check out the video library on my website, heatherkitchenyoga.com.au. The link is in the description box below.